start with the introductions for all of you. I think you're all muted. If you'll just mute yourself, and if you want to speak, feel free to speak. I love it. Actually, I love that interaction. So this is a class that we do actually monthly, every third Thursday of the month. And it was the brainchild of Westside Investment Network. So we have several of those people on. They're going to be some guest speakers for me. And I want to do a shout out for them, because without them, we would not be having this. And they're full of knowledge themselves on how to invest. We've done lots of classes with them too. Thank you all for coming. I do want to tell you the first part of this is really all about just doing a deep dive into what's going on in the market, a market update. So Chris Shepard's, I believe, going to be doing our deep dive today at Uptown Property Group, and Taylor Rhodes is going to be doing the market update, and Trent, you'll be doing a little bit of the emceeing and kind of guiding them through it all, correct? Good. And then after that, it should be over around 6:20, 6:30. We'll start the class that you've been waiting for on ADUs in Portland. And what is it? What are the zoning changes? What types of things that we need to know about with that? Before we get into that, I do want to share my screen. I'm going to do a little plug for Lawyer's Title here, if that's okay. I'm going to share my screen and just show you a few things that we can do for you. And it actually does pertain to this. So just a little resource checklist that we have, things that are important for your business. One of the things we can do, can you see my screen? Yes. So one of the things we can do is automated trios. And of course, that's important. We're coming up to a 3-day weekend. Monday's a holiday. Title companies are not open. So if you need a trio, you want to be able to get it automatically. You want to see who's on that deed. So there's automatic ways to do that. There are apartment lists that we have. We get asked that quite often. Commercial and business directories. We have custom mapping projects that we do. I've had clients that have told me they go to the courthouse looking for sale by owners and that kind of thing. I'm like, well, don't do that. Call me, because don't spend all day doing that. There's so much that we can do. Builder development packets, referral management system. Lawyer's Agent is a closing app that we have that's super easy, and just some print material that we can do, all kinds of marketing ideas that we have. Some of you are on here, you already know about that. You've used us and you like it. So those of you that don't, this is something that we do with our clients. So make sure you reach out to me. We would love to earn your business. So having said that, I am now going to before I need to let you know you're all being recorded. So be careful what you say. And then when the class starts too, you will get a 1-hour credit hour for that. It will last an hour. So Casey Lambert will be your speaker, and then you'll get your credit hour probably tomorrow or the next day. Let's see, tomorrow's Friday, so you should get it for tomorrow or Monday. If you don't receive it, please let me know. If you do want a credit hour, if you're a realtor and you want a credit hour, make sure you're on your own device. So if you were sitting next to somebody, make sure, even just on your phone maybe, make sure you're signed in to your own Zoom account. That's how Zoom tracks your hours and how long you've been on. Questions before we turn it over to Trent Werner? No. Trent, take it away.
All right. Thank you, Terry. And just want to say a quick thank you to everyone joining us this evening. Yeah, I guess right now we'll just get started and dive right into Chris Shepard's deal deep dive. I think it's a pretty cool deal for him to talk about, and I'm excited for everyone else to hear it. Make sure if you have any questions, drop them in the chat box down below.
I see him. He's at the office over there. Hi, Chris. Can you get on?
All right.
There you go.
Hello.
Hello.
I am excited to chat about a recent deal that I purchased. It's a 5-plex We just closed on Friday, and it was a pretty neat deal. It was a 1031 exchange for me, but I wanted to share a four-plex that I closed on almost 3 years ago, and so I have some data on that four-plex, and I think that this five-plex will meet pretty much the same returns as that four-plex that I purchased. So I'm excited to kind of like share my screen and dive into that. So I've got a pro forma here, but here is the income statement from last year of the four-plex that I bought. And this was another 1031 exchange, 4035 Southeast King. And so in 2018, I sold a single family home in Arizona that I bought for $180,000, and I sold it for $205,000. I bought the house, I think, in 2008. Not particularly the best time to buy a property. The market was still on the way down. So I bought that property for $180,000, and then I sold it for $205,000 after like doing like a mini flip. I put on new countertops and like painted the entire property, and actually had to redo all the electrical because there was this crazy like aluminum wiring like nonsense that was going on, and it just was not standard. So we had to completely redo it. That cost about $10,000. So I really didn't make any money on that particular property, that single family home that I bought. But I paid down my mortgage, and I had essentially cash when I was selling that property. So I 1031 exchanged that into this four-plex, 4035 Southeast King, and I purchased that for $531,000. I think I only had, probably about $70,000 in cash from the 1031 exchange. I had to bring in some extra funds, but this particular property, I bought it in 2018, and this year it did about $56,000 in revenue, and our expenses were expenses 30,000. Rents 56. Total revenue 67,000. So we've got the Rubs revenue coming in, which is about $8,000. So it's actually doing a revenue of 67,000, and then expenses were 30,000. And so $37,000 in NOI. I mean, it ended up turning out to be a pretty solid deal. I can share the rent roll here. We just rented out unit D for $1,350. When I purchased the property, I think rents were like at $900, and so I was able to raise them up and bill back utilities, and so that's kind of like the foreshadowing to this particular deal, which I'm very excited to share with you guys. So recently I bought a five-plex, got into contract, I want to say almost 5 months ago. I think it was in September, and it's been a very long process in purchasing that deal. But I can share the marketing for that particular property. So Southeast 70th in Division 5-plex. It was listed for $1,050,000, but my multifamily broker, Ben Murphy, said that, you know, this property isn't moving. It's been sitting on the market for a while. I think that we can get it for $950,000. And so I think we're playing a round of golf with Trent, actually, and we were talking about this property, and he's like, yeah, I think we can get it for under whatever they have it listed. And I'm like, all right, let's do it. I have a 1031 exchange, like, let's go. And so we put the offer in at $950,000, and the listing broker, Nick Diamond, accepted it. And so yeah, we got into contracts, and like that's part of the key is getting into contracts. So we had 30 days to figure out if we wanted the property. And so we did extensive inspections, and the property was in really, really good condition. And so we ended up moving forward. I did a full inspection on the property, and the things that I uncovered were the units are on forced air heating. So each unit has its own furnace, which generally is going to be a little more expensive to maintain than, say, cadet heaters. So that's going to raise the cost. You know, the roof, I think, was like halfway past its useful life. So about 15 or 20 years into it. So we don't know how much longer that's going to last. And then the most recent unit remodels were probably like 10 or 15 years ago. So when it comes to achieving the highest market rents for these units, you know, 1 bedroom, 1 bath, or 2 bedroom, 1 bath, we're not going to be able to achieve the highest market rents. And the first thing that I did when looking at this property is checking out Rent-A-Meter and checking out the market rents. So, you know, I believe that this property is kind of in the average. So looking at these average rents or these median rents is kind of what I would expect for these units. So 1175 or 1395, it's kind of like right in line with what I was expecting. And so since we're in contract at 950, after we did the inspection, I asked for a $5,000 credit because the property was pretty clean, but still, you know, as you go through the buyer's repair addendum, essentially, I feel like you always have to ask for a little something. And so I asked for $5,000 and they said yes. So that brought the purchase price down to $945. And so, yeah. And then I engaged getting a loan for the property, which actually proved to be extremely difficult because I needed to get like a $725,000 loan for a $945,000 property. Doesn't exactly fit into a residential loan because it's not a four-plex, which would easily be able to get a $750,000 loan, but it's also not a like larger multifamily plex. Like once you get over $1 million, you can get a Freddie Mac small balance loan, which are very easy to get. So it's kind of like in that missing middle. And it was really, really, really difficult to get a loan for this particular property. And if I pull up the pro forma that I did on it, I ended up having to get a 63% loan, and I could only get $600,000 from a credit union to close on this property. My 1031 exchange didn't cover that, so I ended up having to get a hard money loan to cover the balance. And my plan is to refinance the property after I have raised rents at the units. So that was certainly a struggle. Pretty unfortunate, but you know, we closed on the deal, and I expect to be able to refinance in about a year, probably next February. And once, you know, we get up to these property values or renovated rents of $1150 and $1395. Where is the projected? So currently purchase price is $945, but at the $55,000 NOI at a 5% cap rate at $55,000 NOI, that is going to give us a market value of $1.1 million. And I should be able to refinance from that $600,000 loan. And 5% cap rate is extremely high. Like I was purchasing this property. If we look at the cap rate, $29,000 NOI for $945,000. Like absolutely minuscule cap rate at a 5% cap rate. That's going to be a very, very high cap rate to value the property at. It's probably worth more, but I expect to be able to refinance at 1.1 million. And you know what? It also just achieved my 1031 exchange, which is also a very stressful kind of like period in time. So yeah, I'd love to take any questions on it or hear anything that anyone else has, anything that anyone has to say.
Why February for the refi?
You have to wait a year. So when you've got a commercial property, you have to wait 12 months. Otherwise, you have to refinance at loan to cost.
Gotcha.
So I would have to refinance at the $945,000 that I paid.
Mm-hmm.
And any money that I invested in. So like if I remodeled or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if you wait a full year, and this is something that we've learned by trying to refinance sooner, and the lender, like after we've done the appraisal and paid, you know, the $10,000 closing costs, legal fees, like, oh yeah, you can only refinance at loan to cost. And that was a very disappointing thing to hear, because your appraisals and, you know, the legal expires after so many months.
Is that like a state thing or a national thing or just that bank?
It's a Freddie, I think it's a Freddie Mac thing, but if like appraisals expire after a certain period of time.
Gotcha.
I think it's like 3 to 6 months.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
I'm gonna fully disclose I have no idea how to use your computer, so I don't know how to start sharing the screen again.
I got you.
That's why we're
Awesome.
so we got them. You know, how much you're gonna raise the rents, or is that something you can even say?
Yes, I actually already sent out a utility bill back addendum.
Yeah.
Then we're raising rents 9.89%.
What's the limit? 10% now?
It's 9.9%.
Gotcha. Okay.
So we go for 9.89.
Yep.
I think rents were at 900 and 1050.
Yeah.
So $100 for the 2 bedrooms, and then $89 for the 1 bedrooms.
Gotcha. And you can try and turn it after that, do another 1031 or?
No, the goal is
Or
to just
1039.
cash flow it. Like,
Gotcha.
let's keep it.
Yeah, just hold it for a while.
Yeah.
So Chris, I know there's a lot of investors or wannabe investors on here. We have realtors, lenders, and investors on here. So just listening to this and finding out about it is important. But the other thing I will say too, I know once in a while you guys come across a big project, like a big apartment building that you will allow investors to put in just a small portion even as part of it. And that's a whole nother class in itself, but it's a wonderful way to get started in investments. So if you guys are interested in that, I guess reach out. Should I just say that? Reach out to Chris or AJ Shepard, right?
Yes, if you know, like, I would love to meet anyone. We do syndicate real estate deals with people that we know. So that's a 506B syndication. And you can only do those with individuals that you know personally. So if you want to reach out to me, sometimes we have deals that you can do with us personally.
Okay, good info.